Howdy folks, and welcome to the Daily Coin. My name is Rory, and today is Wednesday, June the 22nd, 2016, and I have the very distinct honor and great pleasure of welcoming to the show for the first time Dr. Pierce Carson, and with over 40 years experience in the mining sector and having extensive field experience with companies like Exxon Mineral and Kennecott Copper and Nord Pacific and Santa Fe Gold, Dr. Pierce Carson, CEO of Magellan Gold Corporation, and their stock symbol is MAGE, is bringing another silver mining company online. The company is focused primarily on silver in southern Arizona and has an additional project in southeast California. Dr. Carson, welcome to the show.
Rory, it's a pleasure to be on your show today and to have the opportunity to talk about our plans for Magellan Gold Corporation.
Well, I'm certainly glad you're here, and I'm certainly appreciate you taking the time out for us today. And Dr. Carson, what are you guys are in the silver mining industry, so you must be looking at some things in the future. And what are your personal projections in the silver and gold markets in both the short and long term?
As you know, Rory, gold had a major 10-year bull run from 2002 to 2011, 2012, increasing from less than $300 an ounce to a high of about $1,900. And then it had a major decline over the next 3-4 years through the end of 2015. Finally, in 2016, the markets appear to be consolidating and are well above their lows in January. Silver is up 25% in 2016. Those of us in the junior mining sector are optimistic that 2016 could be the turnaround year and the start of another bull market. Certainly the sentiment in the industry has changed dramatically to the positive side. Short term, I think we could experience seasonal erratic markets and perhaps even weakness over the summer months, but with an upturn this fall. Long term, however, fundamentals are very positive for gold and perhaps even more so for silver. Governments around the world have committed trillions of dollars to bailing out their economies and are facing large deficits. These actions will inevitably lead to continued devaluation of the U.S. dollar, and at some point we should see a large upward adjustment in the price of gold. I'm particularly optimistic on the future of silver for a number of reasons. We have seen that silver prices can be very volatile, and for example, over the 3-year period from 2008 to 2011, we saw a 5 times increase from $10 an ounce to $50. Silver is subject to increasing demand, both industrial and monetary, and today there is record demand for silver, higher than it was in 2011 when the price was $50. Silver also follows gold in price, and the historical gold-silver price ratio currently points to silver being undervalued. For all these reasons, I think we could see much higher silver prices over the next few years. If you're asking for a price forecast, your guess is probably better than mine. But at the close of 2016, I would say $1,300 gold and $18 silver. But 3 years down the road, I wouldn't be surprised to see $2,000 gold and $60 silver.
That's a significant change there. And you mentioned the gold-silver ratio, and right now it seems to be retreating a little bit. It got up to about 85 to 1, I believe, somewhere. It was north of 80, I know that. And now it's down to about 73, just over 73 to 1. And from my perspective, and you can help me to better understand this, Dr. Carson, I mean, that's about 6 times or 5 times above the historical gold-silver ratio, and about 7.5 times above what's actually coming out of the ground. I mean, silver is coming out of the ground at about 9.5 to 1 to gold. So, I mean, is it possible for that to come back in line? And if so, I mean, how would we achieve that?
Well, I think what you're saying is correct. Is that if you look at that gold silver ratio historically, if you go back many years, it was 15 or 20 to 1, and then in more recent times, if you look at the 2010 to 2013, 14 period, it was about 60 to 1, and it's only sort of eroded to the 70, 80 to 1, as you say, in the last couple of years. It's now coming back. But as you point out, as far as the fundamentals go and the amount of silver being produced versus versus the amount of gold being produced, it's only about 10. So
Right.
if it was based on that ratio, you'd be looking at a 10 to 1, which of course would be if gold is 100, if gold is 1,200, then you would imply that silver would be 120, $130. So I mean that's way out of line where we are right now. But if you look at the fundamentals of silver in terms of what's out there, what's being produced, I think it's very logical to think that ratio is going to continue to come down. And one of the reasons for that is that there's a lot of silver, roughly I think about half of it, that's produced as a byproduct of other commodities, in particular lead and zinc, the base metals. And we know what's happened to those commodities here in the last 2 or 3 years. All of the base metals are really having a hard time. There's been a lot of production cut back. So what that means that even the producers that are not primary silver producers have cut back the silver production. So you have a situation where there's less and less silver being produced. You have a situation where there's more and more demand, both industrial demand and monetary demand. And, it's just hard to believe that you won't see that ratio changing, and you won't see a very significant increase in the silver price. Silver was up to $50 in 2011. And I would certainly expect to see over the next few years that those levels would be achieved again, and you'd actually see increases over those levels.
I would agree with that wholeheartedly. I think that at some point, I don't know when, but I personally believe that silver is going to blow by 50 and never look back. I don't know when that's going to happen, but that's my personal belief. And from what I've read, Dr. Carson, Gulf and Western, which made the original discovery of that Magellan Gold is currently working, they drilled extensively on the silver veins at the Silver District project in La Paz County, Arizona, but it sounds like they left a lot of silver in the ground. How much silver is indicated to be in the ground at this point, and what are the projected timelines to recover all the silver?
Well, Rory, you're completely right. Gulf and Western and other companies drilled extensively beginning in the late 1970s through the early 1990s. So, this drilling was done some time ago, even though the quality of the information was very good, and we've got all the records and so forth. The drilling was conducted along 3 strong epithermal vein structures that have a collective strike length of 8 miles. The drilling was aimed at near-surface mineralization and extended to a depth of only about 130 feet. A total of 465 holes and 63,000 feet of drilling were completed. That work identified a historic resource of 16 million ounces of silver available for open pit mining. However, we also believe there is excellent exploration potential to expand the silver resource by deeper drilling of untested targets beneath the known deposits, and also by drilling along strike extensions. Our initial target potential is 60 million ounces of silver, or the equivalent of about 1 million ounces of gold. I would also like to mention the silver deposits contain significant quantities of fluorspar, barite, and lead zinc. These potential byproducts could enhance economics of a silver mining operation. So with respect to our plans for taking the Silver District forward, we intend to to conduct drilling to increase the 16 million ounce historic resource. We intend to update previous metallurgical and engineering studies and intend to carry out additional feasibility and permitting work. Our goal is to advance the silver district toward development and production. We believe our work program will take at least 2 years.
So you're looking at about a 2-year timeline before you actually start producing.
Yes, if we're very fortunate. The permitting can take a while.
You got to deal with government.
Yes, we've got to deal with the BLM and with the government, and sometimes it's difficult to predict the timing. But
yes,
we certainly intend to push hard to do the work necessary. And there was a lot of pre-feasibility work done previously, which was very encouraging, but we need to update that. We need to do additional work. So it'll be a while before we actually go into production, but we're definitely excited about the project and think it's got very good production potential.
I'm excited for you. And Dr. Carson, our economy appears to be in free fall, as I'm sure you're well aware. The numbers reported by the government regarding employment, the validity and cost associated with Obamacare, and the Federal Reserve's nonsense about inflation being at or below 2%. Where do you see the economy headed in the second half of 2016? And from your perspective, will the election make any difference at all?
Rory, as you say, the U.S. economy is a disaster, irrespective of the spin the Obama administration tries to put on it. No one is buying. Personally, I see little hope of any real improvement during 2016. On the contrary, I believe there is scope for further weakness. There's a tendency to blame our economic troubles on Obama, and certainly he has done more than his share. However, to be fair, the problems we face, in particular with regard to monetary policy and deficit spending, go back several administrations. The only bright spot, I guess you could say, here for precious metals mining business is that the policies in place will inevitably lead to higher precious metals prices. Regarding the election, in the short term, I can't see it making much of a difference to the economy. In the longer term, if Clinton is elected, current policies are likely to continue. If it is Trump, then there could be some hope of an improvement over the next several years. However, let's face the fact that to change fundamental entrenched policies would be difficult and a slow process.
Yes, I agree with that completely. And there's a lot of people that are actually saying that Trump is nothing but a Trojan horse, and that that the current policies are only going to continue, if not deteriorate further. With other projects, Dr. Carson, already on the radar, it sounds like Magellan Gold has a very aggressive approach to recovering as much silver and gold as possible. And how does this fit with the current state of the precious metals markets?
The junior mining sector has gone through a very depressed period over the last few years, but is now experiencing a revival. We can expect demand for good properties to increase and for properties to become more expensive and difficult to acquire. Magellan is attempting to take advantage of the current remaining window to acquire advanced stage assets on which we can build a mid-tier mining company. If our projections of higher silver prices are correct, Magellan will be able to offer significant leverage to investors. We are hoping to be able to announce one or more acquisitions over the next 2 or 3 months.
MX Gold Corporation, which is another junior mining company, along with First Majestic Silver, recently stated they would be withholding a portion of their mined gold and silver due to the suppressed prices in the now confirmed rigged precious metals markets. Are there plans for Magellan Gold to follow suit in order to hold out for more favorable market conditions? And isn't this really an idea whose time has come? And we know the markets are rigged, the prices for gold and silver are suppressed, and demand has never been higher. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, personally, I think this is a great strategy, the stockpiling strategy for profitably producing companies that can afford to stockpile a portion of their product for the ultimate benefit of their stockholders. It's not an entirely new idea. I remember back in the early 2000s, Rob McEwen's Gold Corp stockpiled gold bullion for exactly the same reason. When Magellan has achieved production and is fortunate enough to be in a position to consider this strategy, we'll certainly do so.
Yeah, I think it's a great strategy. I mean, we've got to do something. Like I said, the market's being rigged. It's now confirmed with the situation that happened with Deutsche Bank, and within 24 hours of Deutsche Bank being found in a court of law to have rigged both the silver and gold markets, within 24 hours, there was two different class action lawsuits, and each of those class action lawsuits are looking at about $1 billion. That says a lot, in my opinion. And
absolutely.
And, yeah, I mean,
I think you're absolutely right.
Something's got to give. So, your company stock, Dr. Carson, is more than tripled since the end of March of 2016. Very nicely done, my friend. And what do your projections show for the remainder of 2016 as far as growth? And Dr. Carson, why should I invest in Magellan Gold Corp?
Magellan has been very much under the radar. I just came on board as CEO this month, and we are beginning to execute our strategy for rapid growth. In addition, we will be making an attempt to get our story out. And very much, once again, in that regard, appreciate the opportunity to be on your show. With a market cap of less than 10 million, Magellan has a long way to run. So I see every reason the stock should continue to do well as we make progress and announce the acquisition of additional precious metals assets. As far as why you should invest and what sets Magellan apart and makes the company a compelling investment, the key ingredients are experienced management, quality assets, and a superior business plan for dynamic growth. These are the fundamentals that will create stockholder value. And I would also like to mention another aspect that makes our business plan somewhat unique and different from most junior exploration companies. And that is, we will be placing a high priority on achieving production. During my career, I've been involved in taking several projects from exploration through development and into production.
Dr. Carson, as we were just discussing, mergers and acquisitions are already coming into focus. And what we witnessed in 2015 was more of a consolidation at the country level, and fewer districts coming online with already stressed mining operations and very strong physical demand, especially for silver. The frenzy by the big mining companies is coming. As we discussed, Magellan Gold Corporation is making plays for other smaller companies with proven resources. On which side of the frenzy do you see Magellan Gold? I mean, are you guys be on the acquiring side or on the being acquired side?
Well, the past few years have been difficult for junior explorers and major producers alike. And so very little money has gone into exploration or new discoveries. So as the markets come back, we can certainly expect to see a lot of activity in mergers and acquisitions. From Magellan's perspective, we have formulated a business plan and are convinced that if we properly execute it, we will have a high chance of success. That is the track we are on. At the same time, we are flexible and always would be open to any strategic combination that would help the company more quickly reach that all-important critical mass necessary to achieve greater market recognition. The ultimate test, of course, is whether it would create value for our stockholders.
Well, I would think that with as much silver as indicated as in the ground, that there's plenty of value there. I mean, that's what it looks like to me anyway.
Well, I think there's plenty of value. I think there's great potential to increase the number of ounces, which we intend to do. And I believe we'll be happy. I believe our stockholders will be happy with the kind of acquisitions we may be able to announce, which could actually increase our resource base additionally. So it's really up to us to go out there and show the market what that value is, and get a fair stock price to reflect that. When that time comes, then I think anything's on the table as to how we want to go forward and continue to create value for our stockholders.
If you follow the game plan that you have in motion, you should be sitting in the driver's seat at all steps along the way. And Dr. Carson, is there anything you would like to leave the audience with before I let you get back to digging in the dirt?
No, I think it's been a pleasure speaking with you, Rory, and we're very interested in you shareholders. The door is completely open. If you have a look at our website, there's places in there to ask questions. Be happy to take any phone calls from people individually as well. And maybe at some point I have an opportunity to be on your show again. Thank you very much.
Well, I certainly appreciate it, and we will. And I look forward to speaking with you again in the not too distant future, Dr. Carson. And we've been speaking with Dr. Pierce Carson, and he is the CEO of Magellan Gold Corporation. His stock symbol is MAGE. Dr. Carson, thank you for your time today.
Thank you, Rory.